Hey everybody, it's Dr. Nicole Bonner with the Taproot Conversation. And
And this is Dr. John D'Ambrosio. It is great to be here. And we have a very special guest who I'm going to let Nicole introduce.
well, this is Pat Mac. I only know you really as Pat MC. So Pat, can you please, first of all, share a little bit about who you are and how do you say your name? It's been a mystery to me all these years.
That's my Facebook alias there. My name is Patrick McMahon, and a little bit about me. I'm from the States, from North Carolina, and I went to Parker University. I graduated in 2002. I've been practicing since 2002 or 2003, right at the beginning, and I'm now in my 7th country that I've practiced in.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's been a fun ride for sure.
Well, Pat, what other countries were you in?
Okay, I have practiced in Argentina, well, the United States, Argentina, Ireland, Spain, Andorra, the Netherlands, and I'm back in Spain again, where I've been the longest.
Nice.
Yeah, this is kind of home for me here in Barcelona.
Wow, that's quite a journey. But this journey obviously started with you becoming a chiropractor. What brought you into the profession?
Personal experience, really. I had an experience when I was 15 years old, and I had a compression fracture. I was lifting weights and lifting way too much weight for a 15-year-old kid, and didn't have the growth plates fully formed and everything like that, and just had the worst, oh my God, the most searing pain I've ever felt, like somebody stabbed me with a sword. And my mom took me the usual medical route, went to the hospital, got the x-rays, got tons of analgesics and just like hardcore stuff, but nothing would touch the pain, and I couldn't breathe, and I felt awful. And anyway, at some point my mom decided to take me to a chiropractor, and I had literally no preconception about what that was, just some other kind of doctor she was going to take me to, and it was like magic. The guy never explained anything about chiropractic. He didn't explain anything about innate intelligence, about the philosophy, but he was present, and he was with me 100%, and he was connected, and he gave me one of the most masterful adjustments. And I remember in an instant, my pain went from a 10 to like a 5 or a 6, right? And so that was the first experience. And then as I went over time, without him explaining anything at all about chiropractic, what I noticed was when I would leave there, I'd walk outside and I would just go to the car and just listen to the birds. And I could hear the music better, and I felt like I could see better. And you guys, you remember, you were teenagers at some point. You're pretty wound up. There's a lot of angst, a lot of stress. And I just remember it was like the first time that I could recall that I just felt so at ease and at peace. And yeah, it was a really, really powerful experience. And fast forward, I had a couple of experiences, some similar, some not so good, but chiropractic, even when it's bad, it's pretty good. And at some point, it dawned on me, I had a thought flash, this is what I'm supposed to do with my life. And so, I mean, it was a decision that was made in a moment. And I was at the University of North Carolina, finishing up my undergrad degree. I had a lab partner that was going to Parker, and she told me about it. She handed me this VHS tape of Jim Parker. And I watched it, and I was like, I'm going there. I applied. 3-4 weeks later, I'm there. And yeah, found out on my first day that Jim Parker had died 2 years earlier. So whatever, I was meant to hear what he had to say, and I was meant to be there. So it was where I was supposed to be.
Fantastic.
That is an awesome story, Pat. And just the power of that adjustment, it really kind of resonates from you. It's like your body held on to that adjustment, and it like literally like comes out of you when you speak about it. That's awesome.
I've done a lot of study in terms of philosophy and neurology. I like the evidence informed. I'm very based in the principles and what chiropractic is about and what it was founded upon. And there's just something magic about that adjustment when it's delivered well. And I don't know of any other thing in the world. I meditate, I exercise, I eat well. I know of nothing that can change someone's state and connect someone more to themselves than a well-delivered and masterful chiropractic adjustment.
Yeah.
So,
Now are you teaching at Barcelona Chiropractic College right now?
No, not currently. No, I taught there for a couple of years, and I'm no longer teaching with the college itself. Definitely teach
Okay.
students here. Great college, great faculty, but I'm no longer on the faculty there.
Got it. So are you in private practice? So tell us about what you're doing.
Yes. So my wife and I, we just moved back to Barcelona. We were in Amsterdam for a while, and decided to come back here after the whole, I don't even want to talk about it, but after everything that happened over the last year, and like, okay, we got a place down here in Barcelona, let's check it out, and let's just kind of ride the summer out and see what's going to happen. And Barcelona is Barcelona. We love the city, and found a really beautiful space. This is my practice here. This is my adjusting studio. And yeah, we decided to set up here, and yeah, it's home. So we're back at it, back in a very, very new practice, and really excited. Yeah.
that's great. Now, I'm going to veer off a little bit because you had said that adjustment that you got, even though the chiropractor didn't explain chiropractic to you, it just had a huge impact on you because he was present with you during the adjustment. Could you explain that? Because I think that's something that's lost, especially, in chiropractic in general, but especially students, just getting that being present with the patient and how important that is.
Yes. So how would I describe this? He was very, very physically massive guy. He played for the Denver Broncos, just a solid specimen of a guy, but he had just such a groundedness in the sense that he was there with me in that kind of present time consciousness. He wasn't thinking about playing golf later. He was fully in the room and paying attention to what was happening with my body. You gotta understand, I was in massive, massive pain. And so he had this ability to kind of check in, and he wasn't doing something to me, but it was with me. Okay. That was one thing. The other thing was just the vibration that he had. And I think he probably done a lot of personal work, a lot of personal growth, and was very clear in who he was as a human being. And I think that transmits. It's a nonverbal communication, but I think that's the first thing we pick up on. And that's something that we'll probably get into this later, but with the courses that we teach, that's the base of our hierarchy. So we have a hierarchy in things that we teach, and we call it, my business partner, Aaron Morris, and I, we call it dropping in. Okay, because we talk about you don't really have any business palpating or touching or really even being in the field with someone until you're clear and connected and you're dropped in to your body. You can feel your feet on the ground, and you want to be what we call the primary oscillator, so that it's leading from authenticity. It's not like overpowering people and I'm going to be the one that leads this and you're going to listen to me. But it's just having the most congruent vibration and the most coherent field in the room so that you're magnetically attractive. Okay, and then what that does is, aside from the obvious putting people at ease, it's great for referrals, all this stuff, but it just helps open the system up more before you even lay your hands on anyone. So I didn't know how to put that into words. That came many, many years later, but this guy had that something. And I knew that was something I wanted to be able to do.
And that's something that I think is so powerful because, you look at different people and you have Nicole who, people would look at her and say, well, you can't really, how can you move a big guy because you're not this huge person? But it's not really about that. It's really about the vibration, the connection, the guiding and leading. And once you do that, everything just falls into place. It's not a wrestling match.
Absolutely. Yeah, my wife is not a large person by any stretch of the imagination, and she's one of the best adjusters that I know. And it's it's largely in part of what you just said, John, and be connected. So that is awesome.
I'm so glad that we're talking about this because I feel like this is one of the biggest challenges that we have in our profession. Is I feel like we're producing a lot of mechanics, but we're not producing a lot of healers. And I love everything that you said, Pat. Take a little step back because the people that are watching probably don't know about your program. So Can you tell them, why did you get started with the program that you did? What prompted you to do that? And then tell them about the program that you're currently running right now.
Sure. So basically, my business partner, Aaron Morris, and myself, we run a program that we call Centropy Chiropractic Training. And it really came about, it started in its infancy stages when my wife was in school at the Barcelona College of Chiropractic. And even though BCC is an awesome school and really principled, and I wouldn't fault them on anything, however, all chiropractic educations are somewhat lacking in really adjusting, right? So what she was asking, and it was around the third year, and there were a few students that were asking, could you just come by and just help us with our adjusting? We don't feel really competent. We don't feel good at what we're doing. And so I started doing some sessions there, and little by little, they just grew, and more students wanted to come, and I was putting these on for free. And then one day, this student came up to me, and they had a hat, and they collected all this money, like, just what they could put together as students, and they felt like, we're out of exchange, we have to give you this, right? And so it started that way, and it started to grow. And what I realized was I had put so much intention on becoming a good adjuster. And at that point, I'd probably been in practice for about 15 years. And basically, when you're working at something, you're trying to build a skill set, the whole unconscious incompetence, conscious incompetence, that whole scale, you're learning to drive a stick shift, and then you don't even know that you're doing it. It was the same thing. I was like, how am I able to do this? And they were asking, how do you break it down? And I literally had no idea how to teach it. So I had to kind of reverse engineer, what is it I'm actually doing? And so anyway, long story short, this starts happening. We're putting this on for a while. And my partner, Aaron, he was living down in Malaga, Spain. He came back to Barcelona, and he came and joined me in one of these. And then we just kind of got together. We're like best friends from way back, a lot of common mentors, a lot of common friends in chiropractic. And we just kind of got together and thought, okay, let's big vision this. What can we actually do? What is the goal we're trying to create, and how can we genuinely impact the profession? And we had this vision of creating the best adjusters on the planet. Okay, because if we could just get them to deliver the best adjustment, then that would be the thing that would grow chiropractic, it would grow people's communities, it would grow people's connection beyond anything else. And that may sound like kind of arrogant or whatever, the best adjusters on the planet, but we just wanted this vision of everybody being their absolute best wherever they're at and showing up and just really delivering the goods. So that vision we set out. We went up in the mountains one weekend and just had a weekend of hiking and connecting and meditating, adjusting each other. And we just developed this program. That's when it became Centropy Chiropractic Training. And since that point, literally within a year, we were teaching on 4 different continents. And it just really started growing, mainly by word of mouth. And actually all by word of mouth, and people inviting us to come places. So it's something that is based on what is every single aspect of the adjustment. You guys talked about it's not just mechanical, but there's a mechanical aspect. All right, we talk about it's the energetics with the mechanics. It's the intangible with the tangible. It's putting together that energetic and mechanical adjustment. So we break it down from top to bottom and in an order of importance. And the mechanic is the last bit. So that's kind of how I came into being. And since then last year it was a little different, but we still did do some teaching events, and we're getting back to it this year.
Nice. Jim Parker had a word for that. Do you guys remember what it was? I'm going to try to say it without saying the little tagline, but for like the innate to innate connection and an adjustment.
That was it.
Yes.
A little something special.
Yes.
Okay.
That was it. Jim Parker. I'm pretty sure it was Jim, because I went to Parker as well, Pat.
Awesome.
And yes, I think you're right, John. It was the little something extra, I think he called it.
Okay.
And that's exactly what he was talking about. That's what he was teaching back then, was the innate to innate connection when
Yes.
you're delivering the adjustment.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And a lot of Jim Parker stuff actually came from working with Thurman Fleet, and a lot of the concept therapy stuff, a lot of the Parker success principles, and that innate to innate communication and the trapdoor, and really some brilliant stuff. There were some amazing actually, honestly, my favorite chiropractors were the old time Texas chiropractors. Okay, Jim Parker, Thurman Fleet, Virgil Crane, DeMartini later on down the line, Drain, Ratledge, some of those guys, I think they really had a massive, powerful effect on chiropractic. So
Agreed. Yeah. Fleet is one of my favorites as well.
yeah, he's awesome.
So now,
Awesome.
backtracking a little bit to what we're talking about now, and you had said schools are kind of, as good as they are lacking in this aspect of chiropractic education. Would you argue philosophically that if you're lacking this and you are an expert mechanically, but you don't have the piece that you're teaching, are you truly giving a chiropractic adjustment, or are you giving a very specific, I don't want to say manipulation because that's not the intent, but if you don't have that, everything you've just said, is there sort of a disconnect?
I think there's an absolute disconnect. I mean, I know some good manual therapists, some good osteopaths. I know some people that do relatively good manipulation, but I'm sorry, there's a massive difference between a manipulation and an adjustment. And anyone who's actually experienced it won't argue that. Okay, we want to argue it and like try and put it in randomized clinical control trial and what's the difference. And it's like those people that, you know, I only love my children because I have oxytocin in my body. You know, it's just this chemical thing. It's like, no, you experience love. You know, have you experienced an adjustment? There's something real, and once you've experienced it, you don't really have to, you don't have to be educated on it. You don't have to explain it, right? So what's the difference? For me, I think it's imperative that we understand that, first of all, we're putting in an adjusting thrust. We're putting in an external invasive force, okay, that is concussing with an internal resistive force. So there is an innate intelligence that is utilizing that universal force for constructive purposes, and hopefully for accumulated constructive survival value, right? Well, how do we do that? We get it as in line with what innate wants to do as possible. And we get as connected with what's happening in that person's body as possible. And when you do that, I think it's very, very important that an adjustment is something that you do with someone, and a manipulation is something you do to someone.
Love it.
And when we're truly connected, there's a window. And you guys have been in practice for a long time. You can feel it. You know that there's sometimes if you're checked out and you're just clicking bones, it's different than when you almost feel like you're pulled into the adjustment. And
Definitely.
that for me is the massive difference, and it's the most important. It's something, it's literally a skill set that has to be trained. Okay, I don't know about you guys. I remember my first day in palpation class, and I thought I need to be an accountant or a dentist or something, because I think they're full of it. You know, there's no way you can feel the atlas. There's no way you can palpate this. So the same way that is a skill, connecting, tonal palpation, feeling what's happening with the person underneath your hands, all of those are skill sets that can be learned.
Huge.
That is huge. Like there better be tons of students watching this right now. And doctors. So speaking of which, Pat, do you also work with doctors who have been practicing for a while?
Yes,
or
we do.
Students?
No. We actually, it's funny because a lot of people think it's just for students. And of course, students, they're in that learning phase of their craft, and they're going from kind of incompetent to a competent level and building that skill level. But I mean, first of all, we're always students, right? I hope that everyone continues along this path and never gets comfortable. You're growing or dying, right? Second thing is students are always blown away, and actually DCs are always blown away, because we usually have about a 50-50 DC to student ratio. As far as I understand, we're one of the few seminars that has that, and I think it's because we have something to offer everybody, no matter what stage they're at, right? Because at the end of the day, excellence is just doing the basics well. Mastery is doing the basics well. And we like to say Syntropy is the basics perfected.
Now, taking that and applying it to what chiropractic schools are actually doing, what 3 steps would you say chiropractic colleges can do to improve their education, to make students more adept at what you're teaching? So when they come out, what you're doing is you're taking them to a PhD level in this as opposed to a BA level.
Right. In one word, certainty. Okay, I think the biggest problem with our educational system is that it just creates uncertainty. First of all, I mean, some schools, I won't name names, but I mean, we teach all over the world, and you go to some schools and students are told not to ever adjust the cervicals. All right, and so you go to a school and you pay this ungodly amount of money to get this degree, and then you're a second class physiotherapist or manual therapist, and what you do not only is not effective if you don't get it right in 3 or 4 visits, but it's dangerous. Now, go start a practice, right? That's like, it's killing our young. It's unethical, immoral. But if I had to break it down to one thing, it would be certainty. And so I think students need certainty in 3 specific realms. And for me, adjusting is absolutely the most important, but I don't think it's necessarily the most important when you're starting out, okay? Because we need to be certain about what we're doing, all right? We need to be certain about what is the adjustment, what is the subluxation, what is happening in a nervous system when they're not clear and connected, and how is what we're doing actually creating a better, clearer, more coherent state, okay? You need to own that. You need to own that to where you can have that conversation with the garbage man or the neurosurgeon. And I think that really, really improves things. Second thing would be communicating that understanding. And so many of us, we don't realize you're going through a chiropractic school. It's really intense, tons of hours, and you're surrounded by other chiropractors, and you slowly but surely, you don't realize that you just take this 3, 4, 5 degree turn every week, 2 weeks, and the next thing you know, you're in this bubble and you have nothing to do with the common person out on the street. And you have no idea how to explain what we do, and you think, oh yeah, everybody thinks natural is better. Everybody thinks holistic is better than reductionism. Everybody thinks, you know, whatever, like chiropractic principles. Everybody thinks that the universe is intelligent. Everybody thinks the body's self-healing. No, they don't. And if you can't figure out how to make that real and relevant to your average person on the street and make it real to what their life concerns are, then it's very, very difficult. And we seem like we've got, you know, 3 heads out there. Especially, I remember I was really good at adjusting, as good as you can be coming out of school. And I really understood the principles. I really understood the neurology very well. And I was just crap at communication and business. I had no skills. And I thought I would just build it and they would come. And they didn't. You know, I don't know if you guys have ever experienced that, but it was pretty painful. Sure. And so the 3 things are adjusting. That was the last thing, I'll get to that. But certainty in what we do and why we do it. Okay, our principles. What is the principle of chiropractic and the principles that it's based upon? And then we need to be masters at communication, at building bridges. Because when we have 2 conflicting worldviews, and we just come at them with this worldview and make that one wrong, then people automatically, to protect their own self-efficacy and sense of identity, they're just going to figure out, they're already thinking in their head all the reasons that you're an idiot, right? But if we can create that common bond or wherever, meet them where they are and build those bridges across, then that is really where it's at. And I didn't learn that until 16 years in chiropractic. I learned from a guy, I don't know if you know him, Martin Harvey. He's an Australian chiropractor.
No.
You guys haven't been exposed to his work and just the power of communication and influence type stuff. He's an absolute master at it. And it was revolutionary for me. I realized this whole time I've been trying to turn everybody that comes into my office into a chiropractor or a chiropractic student, instead of making chiropractic about what they care about. Right? And getting more of that in their life.
And that is so important, because I think what you just said is something a lot of people miss, and they could go one of three routes. They can either come out with the philosophy and just try to ram it down people's throat, assuming that, like you said, we're right, they're wrong. And I did the same thing. And then at that point, you either get better at communicating it, or you say, you know what, this isn't working. I'm just going to give them what they want. And you become a physical therapist.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Because there's, you know what, I haven't met anybody that doesn't want what we have when it's presented in a way that's reasonable to them. There's very, very few people. I'm sure there's been a couple that want their quick fix and, you know what, I'd rather take pills, but that's absolutely the exception.
Right. Because that just goes against who we are as innate beings. That doesn't even make sense really when they understand it.
Absolutely.
So I have a question that it's totally not one of our questions on our sheet.
Okay, no
but
problem.
I think we have something really important here that we need to talk about, and that is those three things, Pat, that you just mentioned are truly 3 action steps or 3 things that if we did in our schools, our profession would literally rise to the top. Like, we would be treating all of humanity if we did those 3 things. How come we're not doing this in schools? Like, why are we doing like breast exams and gyno exams when we need to be doing what you said? Why is that happening?
Well, you want the conspiratorial view or the diplomatically, the politically
I don't
correct
know.
view?
I just want something. I'm getting a hot flash because I'm getting aggravated.
Our licensing boards and the people that decide our educational structure. And it's been called a cartel before, and there's a very, very small group of people that 99% of them are not in practice, and they have a vision to have us become spine specialists and manual therapists, and really that there's no difference between physical therapy and chiropractic. And they're in, unfortunately, high positions of power. And what it's going to take is people with our vision that get involved in it. And it's a good old boys club. It's very hard to get into. But yeah, they're very, very active. Most of us who love what we love, what do you want to do? You want to be taking care of people. You want to be connecting people. You know, you don't want to deal with the dirty world of politics, but people who don't love what we do, they like power. You know, it's, I don't know. I don't believe in, I don't want to be a negative person or pessimistic, but it's been a problem in chiropractic for a long time. And I think the best thing that we can do is reach out to students, help students become successful in our own practices, become beacons of light, help pull other people up, let them learn from us, not, you know, eating our young like a lot of people do and use them as cheap labor. But really get to a place where we're so full and we're so busy that I can't adjust everybody, so I need somebody else.
Yeah.
Yes.
You feel better? Your hot flash pass?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got through it, John.
Okay, good.
No, you know, it's like, I guess like everybody else that we have on our podcast, you know, just like you guys, I love this profession, and I love what we do and who we are as chiropractors. And, you know, I would love to see schools go in the direction that, you know, I mean, I guess everybody wants it to go in their own direction, but you know, Pat, I think you nailed the nail on the head, man. If we just did that, if we just did those 3 things, we would have our profession would look so different, and humanity would look different.
That's the ultimate thing. Like, I believe the reason I want chiropractic to be successful is because I think, I'm sorry, the world's subluxated, you know, we're disconnected. We're not in alignment with an intelligent universe, right? And when people get clear and connected and they're adjusted and they start to move back into their frontal lobes and they start to get out of that threat state and they actually just feel connected to who they are on the inside, then you walk outside to your chiropractor at 15 years old and you hear the birds and you realize I'm a part of this greater all, you know, like, but only if people are delivering the goods. And more and more people are doing that, and people are getting clear and connected, and they're connected to themselves, and they become more connected to other people. Because when we're solitated and when we're wound up and we're in this stress state, we can't be empathetic. We can't be connected to our fellow human beings. I don't know how much you guys have checked into, but there's a guy, Robert Sapolsky. He's kind of like why zebras don't get ulcers. He studied primates in Africa and really big kind of like behavioral scientist or whatever. And I mean, he's a total materialist, so I don't buy into all of his stuff. But what I really, really loved was when we are in this stress state and we're pumping out cortisol and adrenaline and we're just wound up in our midbrain and we're in this emotional muscle flexor dominant state, then we start to see people as us and them, and we become more tribal, and there's a hierarchy, and we tend to fight. So you think about prisons, you think about gangs, you think about, like baboons, like getting their hackles up and fighting each other. It's like racism, xenophobia, sexism, just whatever ism you want to add in there. When people are threatened, then they want to be protected and they see other as not them. Right. And when we're connected and we're clear, then we start to realize that we're all part of a something, and you start to see other people in a different light. So kind of went off on a tangent there, but that's why chiropractic needs to do well, because that's what humanity needs. They need to get clear and connected on the individual level and on the societal level as well. So I mean, we need to go clear out the Capitol and the White House and, state capitals and get everybody adjusted. That would be important.
Maybe we should start there and just set up a table right at the White House.
Yeah.
People used to do that. People used to do that back in the 90s, and it really made a big difference. I don't know whatever became of it, but yeah, we absolutely need everybody getting adjusted, especially the people that are making decisions for the whole.
That's so true. And like you had said, that division obviously makes us weak and easily controlled by those who want to control us, because we're fighting against each other. So they just kind of manipulate whoever they need to manipulate to continue that, and we're just kind of splintered. So they need us at every level.
It's disconnection, discoherence, and it's ultimately it's cancer. It's a part of the whole that doesn't recognize itself as part of the whole. It's that disidentification with self. So people need it. We need more students. We need more people getting adjusted.
So now you're a student in school and you're struggling now. You're missing these things. What advice do you have for students to be able to get grounded in this stuff, to get connected, to be able to find what you're offering, even if, say, they can't get it directly through you at this point because they're going through school? How can they?
A mentor of mine, our number in EA, I remember back in school, he said, like, you need to have a parallel curriculum. And I fundamentally believe that. I think that students need a parallel curriculum in communication and business and in adjusting. You need to find some things that get you connected. Listen to tapes. Basically, we'll do anything if we have a big enough purpose. So it's getting reconnected to that purpose, and we get lost in that when you're passing exams and yada, yada, yada. You students, you already know what I'm talking about. DCs, we remember. But it's remembering why we're doing this. And maybe it was that amazing experience you had as a chiropractor, or with chiropractic as a patient. Or maybe you need to go reconnect with your first chiropractor, or maybe you need to find some mentors, people that are successful around you that you can learn from. I listen to tapes like crazy. I listened to Reggie Gold, Dick Santo, all the On Purpose stuff back in school. I just constantly immersed myself in it. And that was huge. That was Pitbull for me. That made it all worthwhile. I don't know if that answers the question, but
definitely.
Yeah, that answers it. And then Pat, can you tell us what's on your agenda for this year? Where are you going to be? Where are you going to be teaching this year? where you're
Cool.
holding seminars?
In 2.5, 3 weeks, we're going to be in Dallas. And then the weekend after that, we'll be in Atlanta. So we'll be there, what is it? May 7th, 8th, 9th in Dallas. We'll be teaching the occipital lift, as well as our Module B full spine. And if you guys can help me figure this out, it's not sequential. So A, B, 1, 2, like I can't figure out how to do a non-sequential way to describe these seminars, but you can take them in any order, right? So Module B is where we do seated cervicals, standing ribs, and side posture lumbars. And we'll be doing Module A, sorry, I got that 100% backwards. Let me say it that way backwards. Module A we'll be doing in Dallas. Okay, so it's gonna be supine cervicals, anterior thoracics and lumbars, and then SI joint adjusting, okay? As well as occipital lift on the Friday. In Atlanta, we'll be doing Module B, which is seated cervicals, standing ribs, and side posture lumbars, and then occipital lift on the Friday. So we'll be doing that. We're going back for an advanced one in July in Atlanta, but you need to have done both of those courses to come to it. And we're looking to do something probably in Southern California and New York pretty soon. So
Awesome.
at the moment, the US is really the only place that's open. We have some small stuff here in Europe that we're doing here in Barcelona. We've done Amsterdam a couple of times, but hopefully it's going to open up soon. We did a virtual seminar in Australia with 130 people.
Wow.
And second virtual seminar, and it went off great. The testimonials were phenomenal. Yes, you can learn structural adjusting virtually. So yeah, we haven't been able to travel to Australia. Don't know when we'll be able to again. So we kind of worked that out because people wanted to learn. And yeah, that's what we got coming up. Atlanta, Dallas, and hopefully Southern California and New York.
Great. So walk us through what is it like? You walk into your seminar day one. How many days is each seminar?
So the full spine adjusting seminar is like a day and a half. We do a full day Saturday and we go until 2 o'clock on Sunday so people can travel back home. We start off with kind of the big vision, and then we get into what we're going to be covering. We get into the theory. I cover a lot of neurology in it because I want people to understand. For me, I was like president of the philosophy club and also really big in the neuro club. And they were like two different cliques that never really connected with each other. And if you could just understand what they were really saying, I felt like there was a lot more similarity than difference. And so I want people to understand their neurology and what's actually happening with the adjustment, but it's also still from a philosophical and principle base, right? So kind of marrying the energetic with the mechanical. And then we get into kind of the analysis system that we use and the biomechanics and how these joints move. And we got some really cool stuff that we go through. And then we get into, like, we run through this whole hierarchy. There's dropping in, and we train that over and over again all weekend so that people have it as a mantra. They go back to their office and boom, 5 seconds. I can feel my feet on the ground. I'm connected. Now I can touch the person. Then we go into the analysis system and biomechanics, and then we go into patient positioning, which is all learning to adjust from ease and not creating a lot of tension or tightness in their body. And then chiropractor positioning is all about longevity. Okay, so getting your base of support, your center of mass, and your hands all lined up so you're not introducing leverage into your own body. I mean, how many chiropractors do you know that have blown out their wrists, their elbows, their shoulders, can't do side posture anymore? I know plenty that are doing instrument work, not because they necessarily love it, but because they're hurt, right? And so really figuring out how do you minimize the leverage going into your own body and maximize your longevity in practice. And then and only then we get into kind of the force application and how to develop speed and some sports science behind that, how to build, you know, quick acceleration and some training around that. We do a lot of video training, okay, slow motion, and get back to seeing what's happening, because a lot of times you think you're doing something and when you see yourself on the film, it's like, oh, wait, that's different. So it's a lot of hands-on. It's a very, very safe environment. Okay, we're not just indiscriminately throwing forces into people. We make it safe for people to fail, and we have a structure that's set up that if you follow the steps, you will get better in it, and you will know exactly how to train each of those steps. So we just reverse engineered all of those steps down. How can I train this? How can I put this into practice on Monday? How can I be better a month from now, a year from now, a decade from now, if I train these fundamentals?
Mm-hmm.
Sounds great.
Pat, I think I'm coming. I think I'm going to come to the Texas one because I have an associate and we always have associates. And I think that one of the biggest challenge for me in practice is training new associates
Yes.
on not the mechanics of an adjustment, but that Jim Parker's what was it, John?
Little something
something extra, little something
special,
extra.
right.
So guys, I think I'm going to be there. When is that? May 7th and 8th?
May 7th, 8th, and 9th. So the 7th is a Friday. That's the occipital lift. We do that just all by itself on a Friday. The Saturday and Sunday is spine adjusting. And I would love to see you there. You'll regret it if you don't bring your associate with you.
Oh no, yeah, we're both coming. Yeah. So,
Awesome.
All right. So question, 2 things.
Okay.
Can you email me the May dates and the June dates with the what's in module A, what's in module B,
Absolutely.
so that we can attach that to this podcast.
Absolutely.
And then do you have like a link that we could also attach to the podcast that somebody can click on to register for these seminars?
Yes, we do. I have, what would be easiest, because they're 2 separate events, so I don't know that it would be easier I can link directly to the, register here, or I can link to the event page on Facebook if people want to. Actually, it's probably best just to register here because we have a video that explains it, and kind of landing page style, so that everybody can see what's going on with it and what it involves. So
yeah,
maybe that'll be the best.
That's awesome. Yeah, and then we'll let you know, when this podcast is ready to go out, we'll let you know, we'll send you over a copy, and then just make sure that you get the links in there, in the comments or wherever, so that people can register.
Great.
Right.
What's the usual production time for you guys?
Cassie, I think what's today? Tuesday? I think Cassie has these out. I think they go out on Friday, right, John? Cassie gets them out. Cassie will get them out probably by this Friday.
Beautiful. Well, I'll get those links right over to you. I mean, really, it's something that I love practicing, and I can't ever imagine myself not practicing because there's nothing I love more than adjusting. And for me, I mean, my partner Aaron, we have very different skill sets and different visions, different goals, and we have a really good synergy. Okay, we really work together very, very well. We bring very different skill sets, and it makes 2 + 2 is 6 with this. And my vision, the reason I do it, what lights me up, is nothing makes me happier than those aha moments when people go, oh, it's so easy. And usually it's my favorite, or when I see smaller framed ladies, they go, oh man, I was just going to do upper cervical because I never thought I could do full spine adjusting. And they're like, now I know I can do full spine adjusting. Okay. Or when I have a guy who's a veteran, he's been in practice for 40 years, and he's been doing activator, not because he loves it. Activator's great, nothing wrong with activator. But he's doing it because he's like, I can't do manual adjusting anymore. And those things, when I see those light bulbs go off and that aha, that's why I do this. So I would love to have as many people there as possible so we can see so many people changed with this. And that will just translate into taking that in your office and serving and helping and connecting lots of people.
Perfect.
Awesome.
I think we should close with the question we always close with, asking if you had one piece of advice to give a chiropractic student, what would it be?
One piece of advice. You only give one.
Just one.
Realize, get really, really, really clear in your heart that you're on this world to serve. And if you serve people, you'll be served. So you're worth having success. You deserve success. You're going into a profession that you're changing lives. It doesn't consume anything. You're leaving the world a better place. And the better you do, the more people are helped. So get real clear on your deserve level and just get out there and light people up.
That was a damn good piece of advice.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
This was a great interview.
I've really, really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, everybody. So we're going to say goodbye to Pat. Hopefully he will be a guest on our podcast in the future as well, and he can bring us up to speed with what he's doing in the future. But until then, Pat, we love you. Thank you so much for contributing to this. This is awesome.
Definitely.
Thank you guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Welcome.